use of partially hydrogenated oil, or make it post signs saying that much of its food are high in trans fat. That brings us to today's hot topic. Should KFC be forced to change the way it makes its food? Let's ask Michael Jacobson. He's an executive director of the Center for Science and the Public Interest, the group that filed the suit today. And we're also joined by Justin Wilson, analyst at the Center for Consumer Freedom. Welcome to you both.
Good morning.
Hi.
Michael, let's start with you. KFC hasn't broken any laws, it seems. It's not required to post how much trans fats are in its foods. It's not required to abandon trans fats. What are the grounds for that lawsuit today?
Well, it is breaking the law in Washington, D.C. and many other places by not disclosing to its customers some very important information, that it's using the most harmful oil imaginable, partially hydrogenated oil, and that its foods are literally dripping with trans fat, a major cause of heart disease. So we're asking the court to ideally force KFC to switch to a healthier oil, or at the very least to post signs disclosing that it uses this kind of oil that promotes heart disease.
Justin, what's your response to this? Because obviously your center promotes consumer choice in this.
Right, and that's key here, consumer choice. I think it's amazingly hypocritical for Michael Jacobson, of all people, to be lecturing us about trans fats. Back in the mid-1990s, he was the one who was forcing, or at least asking, restaurants to switch to them in the first place. This is a frivolous lawsuit. If it was put on a national level, he'd be asking for $12 billion a day from KFC. And when it really boils down to it, is that trans fats are like saturated fats. And everyone recognizes that, you can't eat a 12-piece bucket of fried chicken every day and be healthy. But people realize that, a little bit of moderation, some personal responsibility, and everything is fine. I mean, in the end, what's key here is that Michael Jacobson is the kind of guy who goes to bed every single night in a cold sweat, thinking that someone somewhere might actually be enjoying a midnight snack.
Okay, let's let Michael respond to this. Michael, is it true that you had promoted restaurants or encouraged restaurants to actually switch to trans fats at some point?
No, we didn't. We encouraged back in the 1980s, not the 1990s.
Wait a minute, Michael. You wrote in your own newsletter, trans schmans. You said that the criticism of trans fats don't stand up, and I'm quoting you there. And you called on restaurants over and over again to switch to oils that did not contain beef tallow.
Justin, let's let Michael respond here.
Every statement you've made is false and misleading, starting with your own organization, which is funded by the restaurant industry. I mean, listeners and viewers ought to know that straight out.
I mean, my organization is funded by people who enjoy food.
We and the Food and Drug Administration considered trans fat innocuous in the 1980s. But in 1990, the first evidence came in that trans promoted heart disease. Since then, there's been a flood of evidence. KFC, the entire restaurant industry, food processors know that trans fat is bad. They listen to the National Academy of Sciences and the World Health Organizations. Wendy's and Ruby Tuesday have switched. Kraft, Tyson, ConAgra, Frito-Lay, they've all switched.
Michael,
there are a lot of restaurants.
Sorry, gentlemen. Let's get to that point, because it does seem that market forces are at work. Michael, you had just mentioned that Wendy's has moved to a virtual near ban of trans fats. Panera Bread has been in on that. So has Ruby Tuesday. So has Legal Seafoods. Why not let the market forces just go to work here?
Well, we're part of the market forces, and thousands of people are dying every year prematurely. We want to accelerate the move away from partially hydrogenated oil, the source of trans fat. We've asked the Food and Drug Administration to get rid of it. The FDA is considering our petition, but every day of inaction means more people are harmed.
And Justin, the FDA, in January had basically required food processors to disclose levels of trans fats in their foods. Aside from this lawsuit, would you be in favor for required disclosure of the actual amounts of trans fats in foods at restaurants?
If you walk into a Kentucky Fried Chicken and you look right on the counter, there's a thing that says how many trans fats are in every single thing that they offer. And lots of restaurants providing this information to consumers that want it. And the other important thing here is that KFC, along with a lot of other restaurants, are working very, very hard to alter their oils to not have as many trans fats in them. But the problem here is that there's a supply issue. If restaurants like KFC or McDonald's or other ones were to all of a sudden everyone switch, there's just not enough oil to go around. More importantly is the fact that they're doing it in a deliberative way. Mr. Jacobson is trying to force their hand, and yet these restaurants, they understand their consumers, they understand the science, and they're going to do it in a way so that Michael Jacobson can't come 7 years from now and sue them for switching to oils that don't have trans fats, like he's doing right now. I mean, remember that's the key thing here. You know, not too long ago, Michael Jacobson wanted to sue these restaurants, or at least pressure them to move away from oil that had beef fat. Now he wants them to move away from trans fat. And now he's trying to say, you know what, the oils that you're switching to that don't have trans fat, those are bad too. Michael Jacobson just doesn't want people to eat food that tastes good, and that's the bottom line.
Okay, Justin, let's let Michael have the last word. Mr. Jacobson.
Well, it's a little hard to debate somebody who just makes things up out of whole cloth, and it's not even worth responding to his concerns. The fact is, trans fat from partially hydrogenated oil is the most harmful oil in the food supply.
At least today.
Every responsible company should be getting rid of it. The Food and Drug Administration should be banning it. But until they do, we will be pressuring packaged food companies and the restaurant industry to switch to the healthiest oils possible for their consumers'